Hello and welcome to episode 3 of season 2 of the Heritage Arts podcast. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. If you're a new viewer, welcome for the first time. This is going to be a little bit of an unusual episode of the podcast, not because the content is unusual per se, but we are actually reaching back about a month ago to when I recorded last, which was December 12th. If you can tell, my voice is a little off. And I actually had recorded this episode before Christmas. And just because of all of the Christmas happenings and festivities, I wasn't able to get it edited before Christmas. And then shortly after Christmas, our entire household came down with this cold. It's not COVID, not the flu. We were tested for both. It's just some nasty bug that has been going around. So if you're a returning viewer, you will notice that my voice sounds a little different, but I'm not recording a full episode today. This is just the intro to the originally recorded episode from back in December. So if you're anything like me, I probably trust that you are maybe still catching up on Vlogmas episodes. And so I thought it was still okay to maybe release this episode quite a bit late, knowing that everyone has a long queue of videos to watch on YouTube. And so hopefully you don't mind stepping back about a month, seeing what I've been working on, and a couple little vlog kind of videos that I will be sharing as well. So before we get started, I will be dropping in some videos of our Christmas decor as promised for a little bit of a festive touch. You can see our Christmas tree here. I wanted to record a full podcast episode in front of this, but that was just not in the cards. So you will see a little bit of that, and then we'll jump right into the original episode 3 of the podcast, which was recorded back in December. So thank you for bearing with me. I do hope to be back with a new and current episode of the podcast sometime very soon, because I do have some finished objects, one of which you might recognize, and some new whips to show off as well. And I look forward to catching up on all the nitty goodness. So until then, I hope you've had a better start to the year than we have. And I look forward to talking again soon. Enjoy the rest of the episode. Hello and welcome to season 2, episode 3 of the Heritage Arts podcast. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. I'm so glad you are joining me again. Today is, I don't even know what date it is. Today is December 12th, Monday, December 12th. I actually wasn't planning on podcasting today, but we are having work done in our basement, as I've mentioned before, and that's going to be pretty much all this week. And so this is kind of my only opportunity probably to podcast for the next week. And I certainly have discovered that I have enough stuff to show this week. And so I just thought I would take this opportunity to do a quick podcast. It will hopefully be
quick, or it will have to be quick because my son is napping right now, and I spent a lot of time doing some other things before I sat down to podcast. So hopefully I'll be able to do this all in one shot, but if not, this might be a little more pieced together. So we are, as I mentioned, it's December 12th, so we are right in the middle of December. We are like halfway to Christmas, which is super exciting. And we have just been in the festive spirit here. As I've mentioned before, obviously my space right here is not maybe the most festive compared to the rest of our house. I am hoping that maybe on another podcast before the Christmas season is over, I will be able to film in front of our beautiful Christmas tree, but today that just wasn't really feasible. So we are here in my comfy chair. This was my nursing chair in my son's nursery, and now it is just a comfy, cozy knitting chair for now in our master bedroom, and so we are camped here for now. I probably should start off with more of an introduction. If you are new, I'm Kayla. I am a knitter, an artist, a maker. I take on all sorts of crafty things, but knitting really is my primary passion. So that's mostly what we'll see here. I always say that I am hopefully going to show some sewing and mending, and surprise, I still haven't really touched my mending pile. Oops. But I will get to that. It's just, like I said, we're doing some stuff in our basement. We are finishing off our basement, and the office/sewing room right now is a little bit of a holding area for a lot of other things. So my excuse is that I can't even really get to my sewing desk to do that, but my knitting goes with me everywhere. So mostly knitting here. Knitting is my primary thing, but I'm a stay-at-home mom. So I spent a lot of time with our son. And I also love just homemaking, cooking, baking, things like that. So I will probably be starting to incorporate that a little more. My friend Jen, the Driftless knitter, she is doing Vlogmas right now. And she had some really sweet words to say about my podcast in one of her recent Vlogmas episodes. And she had just mentioned how she likes seeing some of the other things that I'm doing throughout the day and throughout my week. And it kind of got me thinking that maybe I should share a little bit more of that here. And I think there could be some good video opportunities for that. So I will probably share a little bit more of that later on with just some of the things that we've been up to this past week. I don't foresee myself ever doing strictly vlogs or doing Vlogmas. I have ADHD, and so for me to get through a full day and just do the things that I have intended to do is typically like quite the feat. And when I say I have ADHD, like I have actual clinically diagnosed ADHD. I think sometimes people can just say like, oh, I have ADD, squirrel. And I think there's a lot more awareness around it now, especially for adult women that have been previously underdiagnosed. So I think people are more aware of it now that it is something that people deal with kind of through their whole lives. So, but I did feel it was important to say that when I say I have ADHD, like I actually do. So anyway, it takes a lot for me to just get through the day and get through all the things that I really want to do through a day. So to think about videotaping like any amount of that, I think would really derail me. But I have found little snippets of time where I can still stay on track and maybe take some footage. So that's really been primarily during Noah's nap times, when I can do some cooking that is less interrupted. And so to have like a time-lapse video is something that is actually a possibility. And so I'm hoping that that might be something I can add in and maybe do some talking over and just share a little bit more about some of the other ways that I am creating art in our home through the art of homemaking and things like that. So knitter, crafter, homemaker, everything, call it what you want, but that's really been the heart behind Heritage Arts Co. From the beginning, is that everything that we do in our lives and in our homes can be a work of art. And so, so I do want to share a little bit more of that. So I hope that's cool with you all, that it won't maybe strictly be knitting, but it will be a lot of knitting, because that is what I love sharing the most. But I hope that maybe you can be open to some of the other little elements of our lives. So, but we'll start with a lot of knitting today, because like I said, I didn't plan on podcasting quite yet, but due to circumstances, I thought today was going to be my shot, and I have stuff to show, which is very exciting. So I'm going to start with kind of an FO. It's more of just a half object or a hoe, and that is my sock that I had been working on. It is just a DK weight sock, but I think I was like maybe at the toe last time, so I finished that, and really exciting to have a full sock here. As a reminder, I have already knit a pair of these DK weight socks. It's West Yorkshire Spinners is the yarn, and it is their their BFL DK prints, and so it's that line of all the colorways are named after different birds. So this is wood pigeon, and it's kind of a purpley, it's kind of pilly and dirty right now, but it's kind of a purpley. And then this is pheasant. And so I finished this sock. I'm thrilled to have this one done. And I did intend on casting on the second one like immediately, but then I found another project I wanted to work on, which I will get to later with maybe some cast-ons. But I do have kind of a half object. Have not woven in the ends, but there's only 2 ends because it was just, one yarn straight through. So that makes it easier. So I got that yarn here. And then the other thing that I kind of finished was that I finished frogging the sweater that I talked about last week, my Faucette sweater. I talked about it last week, but it wasn't really serving me in my wardrobe due to a couple things, just a couple elements, couple things in my wardrobe, or things that were not in my wardrobe that I just didn't wear it very often, and then just kind of a mistake that I made that made it not as enjoyable to wear. However, I won't be reknitting it into a Faucette, but I will be reknitting it into a Faucette inspired. So the Faucette crop was a colorwork crop. I'll maybe try to drop a picture. But it was a colorwork cropped sweater, short sleeve, and I really liked some of the elements of it, the design elements, and I remember when I was working on the sweater, it was really easy to work them and really enjoyable. So I think I'm actually going to be kind of adapting some of the design elements and doing it as a cowl for my son. So I'll use 1 or 2 of the colors. It had been this kind of dark gray, and this was something I had found in someone's Ravelry stash that they were willing to sell. It was just the right color I was looking for at the time, and it's String Theory Dyeworks. I can't remember the name of the color right now, but just kind of a tonal gray. And then this is the color Brulee from Brine Dyeworks. Just a lot of really beautiful brown tones in here. And then this color was dyed by Campfiber yarns for me, and it was actually a custom color that I had kind of told her what I was envisioning, the colors I wanted in it. So it's teal, it has some purples, it has some kind of golden colors in it, which makes it pair really beautifully with the Brulee color. So I'm not entirely sure which colors I'm going to use for his cowl, but I'll use some combination of the two. So I finished unraveling it. That's, I think the big joke here is that like I'm the queen frogger. I will frog anything and everything that is in my path, I guess. So I count finished objects as things I have finished frogging and are ready to be repurposed. So those are my finishes. Oh, actually, no, I do have one more finish, and I was going to talk about this with whips and cast-ons, but because it was a cast-on since the last podcast, but it's also an FO, so we'll just talk about it now. So when I was supposed to be casting on my second sock, I instead saw that Rust Knitwear, Simone, was putting on a test knit for a bonnet that I thought was just way too adorable. It's kind of this little pixie style. And it's a little hard to see in the color that I've chosen, but it has really beautiful lines where the short rows are worked. And it just makes the most beautiful, like angular kind of bonnet. So I'm going to drop in a picture of her sample knits because I think the colors that she picked show those elements a little better, but it's a really beautiful pattern and I have test knit it for her. I thought it was so cute and it was so quick. So it would be a fabulous gift knit. For like, I literally knit it, I think in like a day and a half or like maybe 2 days. Like it was over the course of 2 days. So I knit it really fast. So like if you have just suddenly heard like, oh, so-and-so had their baby and you're like, oh, I should bring them something. A little bonnet is perfect because it went so quick. So this was knit in some of that String Theory Dyeworks. In that kind of tonal gray color. So you can see that in this squishy garter. So I knit that up quick. So this was a cast on, it was a whip, and it was an FO all since my last podcast, which is super satisfying. So really happy with this pattern. I actually have not blocked it yet, which is why I still have these stitch markers on it. So I kind of measured it for pre-blocking between these two markers. And then once I block it, I'll measure it again because she likes to have that information for the test knit. So, so that is one FO as well. So that is that. I will just continue on, I guess, with whips. The last couple episodes have been talking about and showing my, my reflection cardigan, and I am so close to being done with it because I have finished both sleeves. Hello. And it looks like a real sweater now, but all that is missing still is the button band. So I'll try to hold this up a little better. I'm not going to try it on again today, but here it is. It's a beauty. I'm really happy with it, but I do need to do the button band, and I believe that I kind of need to decide what I want to do for buttons before I do the button band to make sure that I am doing the right size holes. So I have not exactly figured that out yet. I need to look at the pattern again and see what size buttons she suggests. And decide if that's kind of the same, what I want to do, and then start looking for buttons. And then I can start doing the button band once I decide the size. But yeah, I need to look at that still. So again, this is the Reflection cardigan by the Velvet Acorn. And I have knit it in Taki Yarns Kiowa in the color Aconite. It's a worsted weight wool cotton blend. I believe I had knit it on the needle sizes suggested in the pattern, which I think was a US 6 and a US 4 for the ribbing. Yeah, that is my Reflection cardigan. I'm still working on it, but I'm hoping that I will be able to figure out what I want to do for buttons very soon. So if you have any excellent button sources, any makers that you know of that make buttons, whether they be resin or wood or metalsmithed, I would love to hear your suggestions in the comments below. If you have any great sources for buttons, I would love to know that so that I can keep this moving. I'd be thrilled to have it done before Christmas, but I'm not exactly counting on it. But even if I can have it done by the new year, I'll be super happy. So that is my reflection cardigan, one whip. That's a little bit kind of at a stagnant point right now while I figure some things out. So that is that. So my last whip was also a cast on. You know, you kind of reach that point in December where you're like, well, I wasn't going to knit anyone gifts. And I didn't knit anyone gifts. And then all of a sudden you find just like the perfect thing for someone that you want to knit. And you're like, it's 2 weeks till Christmas. Am I crazy? And you decide to cast on anyway, against all better judgment, and that is exactly what I have done. I have cast on a hat for my mom. So I knit her a shawl for her birthday. Back in June is when I had finished it and gave it to her. And I had started it a while before, and as things go, it took longer. So it was the Beach Days shawl, and I'll drop a picture. And the Beach Days shawl is a very long rectangular shawl. So you're essentially knitting a scarf, but it's bigger. And maybe some people love knitting scarves, but I think a lot of us find scarves just endless and daunting. And that's exactly how I felt about that project. I really loved parts of it that I was working, but it took forever. So anyway, so she had gotten it for her birthday, and my family uses a website called Giftster, yeah, to put all of our Christmas wish lists on so that everyone can access them and see what's on our list. And all of a sudden, this couple days ago, I saw that it said Kathy has updated her wish list. And I was like, man, I had all my shopping done for everyone, like before Advent almost, before the beginning of Advent almost. We tend to get all of our Christmas shopping done. And so anyway, I saw that she had updated it. I was like, shoot, okay, well, let's just see what's there, and if there's anything that I even wanted to like switch, exchange, you know, I could still do that. But I saw that something she had added was, she said, oatmeal hat to go with my purple and brown scarf. And I was like, huh? And then I realized she was talking about her Beach Days shawl. And I was like, oh man, I got that yarn still. I haven't done anything with the leftovers yet. I was like, nah, I can't resist. I gotta knit another hat. Like, I gotta knit her a hat. So I really quick, I was like, if I'm doing this, I need to do it now, and I need to cast on immediately, and I need to like get it going. So I did just that. I measured how much yarn I still had left of each color, and I looked up some patterns. And so I knew that I was gonna maybe be short on the oatmeal color that I had left. It's a fingering weight yarn that I was using. And I knew I was probably going to be short a little. I was going to be tight on that. And so I needed to find like some pattern that wasn't going to use a ton, but was still going to make for like a warm hat. And I wanted it to just have some element that would kind of tie it together with the shawl. I couldn't find anything with the similar feather and fan lace, but I knew that some kind of lace would probably at least give enough of a coordinated look, having the same color yarns, that it would give enough of a coordinated look to to be what I wanted it to be. So the pattern that I settled on is called Samsara, and it is this beautiful kind of lace hat. And what I love about it and how it's going to serve me perfectly is that it actually is a reversible hat. So it has the same lace feature with both colors, both sides. And so it can be flipped inside out. And so I knew it wasn't going to use a ton of one single color, which was the goal. So I know that she wants the kind of oatmeal color. And this oatmeal color is actually, it's called White Oak by Campfiber yarns. And you can see it is kind of a creamish color with lots of different flecks. So there's like green and kind of brownish, some orange. So there's lots of different colors in this. I wish it would really show. It's kind of hard, but you'll have seen it in the picture of the shawl. So I knew that she wanted mostly this. Well, unfortunately, this was what I had the least amount of left of the 3 colors. And so I needed to like make sure I was going to be able to use it all, but not run too short, because I wasn't going to get more of this, one color just for this hat, but because I don't have time. So I wanted to use this. So I decided also to use then, she called it purple. It's really kind of more of a wine kind of color. But you can see there's kind of the color. Oh, it's kind of cool actually seeing the pooling on it. I haven't really noticed it when I've just been knitting on it. But it does have kind of a nice, I think it's kind of a nice pooling or flashing, whichever you would call that one. So yes, it's got these kind of red and brownish tones to it. It's a little purpley, so I understand why she would say that, but, yes, so I have more of this. So what I'm doing, it's constructed by knitting one side of it first with a provisional cast on. So I've done a provisional cast on here. I'm knitting one side of the hat first, and I am just to the decreases. And I realize I actually kind of knit beyond one here, but so I'm just to the decreases for this hat, and I've been using my little gingerbread house stitch marker from Lock and Lou. So that's been fun and festive. So I'm just to the decreases here, and then I will pick up along the provisional cast on and knit the other side. So that's the basic kind of gist of the hat. However, because I'm running so close on this, I looked on different Ravelry pages or, Ravelry projects, and some people used, maybe 47 grams per color, which would be great. I think I have like 50 grams of this. I should maybe just look quick. Let's see. I use the Ravit app, by the way, Ravit, Ravit, on my iPad and on my iPhone. I still go on through the Safari browser on either one of them, sometimes onto Ravelry, but I do really like the Ravit app. So sorry, I'm just looking in this now. 1.66 ounces. I don't know how much that is. Basically, I have 50 grams left of this one, and some projects said that they used 47 grams, around thereabout. Some said 53, so it's kind of, I'm right in there. So my plan, what I'm doing is that I'm knitting this first side in this purpley color, and this colorway, by the way, is called Antiques, and this also is by Campfiber yarns. So I had much more of this left, obviously. So I'm knitting this side of it, and then I will measure how much I have used of this color. And then I will judge what I'm going to do moving forward. So if I use enough, or like little enough of this, that I figure I could do exactly the same in the white oak, I will just do the pattern as written, which is just you just do the exact same hat from the provisional cast on, and you have this kind of brim. There's not even really a brim. It just kind of flips from one color to the other and is reversible from there. If, however, I find that I have used more for one side of the hat than I have available here, I plan to pick up along the provisional and basically knit enough there that it will then have a folded cuff that will come up, and that will allow me to save a little bit of yarn on the white oak, because I'll be able to. So for the white oak, then I would probably, like, if I know I'm going to be short on yarn, I would probably start, here. So I'd knit a folded brim that would then cover up, maybe one of the lace repeats. And I would work that first lace repeat with this antiques color. And then I would switch to the white oak, if that makes sense. I have a plan. I have a plan either way. So I'll be interested to see once I finish these decreases how much I've used, and we'll go from there. So that is my ill-advised Christmas gift cast on, but I am really loving it. It has been very enjoyable to knit. I don't do a ton of lace, not for any reason other than that I don't always want to think that much. But the beauty of this is that because it's just a panel of lace, you're only thinking, like, it's a panel of lace that takes up maybe a quarter of the hat. But you're not even thinking for a whole quarter of your knitting, because every row of lace has a row of stockinette in between, or just a row of straight knitting in between. So you're really only thinking for like 1/8 of the time. That's not too bad. So I've really been enjoying this hat. I'm looking forward to finishing it. I do think I'll finish it by Christmas. I kind of was joking with my husband that I was like, well, who knows if I'll finish it, but I've cast it on now, so I might as well just keep going. But I do think I'll finish it with how quickly this part has gone. Let's see when I started it. I started it on the 8th, and it's the 12th. So 4 days of knitting, not bad. Not even completely consistent knitting, because I had done a little bit of this there too. So, yeah. So I should be able to finish it by Christmas. And I will be very excited to show this off when it's done, because I think it is going to be so beautiful. I think, can I maybe kind of show what the white will look like behind it? It's hard to see on here, but yeah, beautiful hat. I know it's going to be, I think, a really exciting surprise for my mom, because, it was kind of a late addition to her gift list. And so to be able to just decide, okay, I'm just casting on now and doing it, I think that will be really fun to be able to give to her. So that, I think, concludes my whips. I don't have anything else really that I haven't talked about that I'm planning on casting on very soon. So yeah, that kind of concludes all of the knitting content. But as I mentioned before, I am excited to maybe be sharing a little bit more of what we have going on in our daily life. So this week we have been doing all sorts of really fun Christmassy and seasonal things, and so that has been really fun. My husband makes Lapse every year, and he has turned it into a one-man show. Like, he makes it all from beginning to end. He made the mistake this year of asking me to make the dough, and I had a definite ADD moment in which I forgot to put the butter in it, and I put it in the fridge to chill, and then we realized that I did not put any butter, and it was too late to add butter. So he ended up having to remake the dough anyway, and we've just been eating mashed potatoes this week because the dough basically starts out as just mashed potatoes before you put the flour in. But he made a really good batch this time, and we love enjoying it with butter and sugar. I sometimes like just butter, but then we also do some kind of creative things with it. Like we have breakfast egg wraps with it, and things like that. So we love Lapse. I know it's kind of one of those things, you can make it all year, of course, but we always make it at Christmas, so it has kind of some special connections there. So that's one of the things we did. I did some painting of Christmas ornaments this morning with our son, which was a choice I made. It was maybe an ill-advised choice, but he had so much fun doing it. And so that was really fun to do. And we actually will still be doing a little bit more of that probably tomorrow, but I cannot handle any more 2-year-olds with acrylic paint today. So we'll be leaving the rest of the painting for tomorrow. Couple other things. I baked some bread this week. I am a sourdough baker, but I had not made bread for a while. Like, I don't even know how long it had been. I just was kind of maintaining my starter and doing other things with it, like waffles and pancakes, and leaving it in the fridge and leaving it on the counter for way too long. But man, sourdough starter is resilient once you get it going. So I finally made bread with it. I made some regular bread. I made some banana bread. I also made some venison stew this week. So I did a little time lapse of that, which I think will be really fun. And there was one other thing that I am now forgetting. Oh, spaghetti pie. So my grandma's spaghetti pie recipe, I made that earlier this week, and I took footage of that and walked through that. And so I will be putting that all together. I think I'm just going to do that at the end for this time. If you all like it and we want to see more of just daily kitchen life and homemaking life, I will be happy to keep sharing that. But for now, I'll just put it at the end of the video because that is something that I love sharing, and I love learning about as well from other people on YouTube, and I love sharing it as well. So I hope that that is something that interests you. So that is, that's kind of the gist of everything. I do hope to have another podcast before the end of the Christmas season. Whether or not it will be before Christmas, who knows? But before the end of the season, I hope to have another episode, and I would love to take a little tour of all of our Christmas decorations and things like that to show you all. So be looking for that in the next, several weeks before the end of the season. But other than that, I hope you guys all have been having a great Advent season so far. I hope you've been finding lots of time to knit and be cozy and have hot chocolate or eggnog, whatever your drink of choice is in this season. Tea, I still have some tea. I'm really glad that I put my tea in my ember mug, because otherwise it would for sure be cold by now after I've set it here and recorded for, 40 minutes. But yes, I hope you're having a wonderful season. Again, if you are returning, thank you so much for coming back and continuing to watch the podcast here. I love sharing about my crafty life. And if you are new, thank you for joining me today. Go back and watch some of our previous episodes. I would love to connect with you more here in the comments below on Instagram at Heritage Arts Co. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. That would mean a whole lot. And what would mean even more is if you comment below so that we can have conversations and chat about all the crafty things that we all love. So I hope you have a great week. Again, I will be popping over to some of our homemaking kind of content at the end of this video if that is something that interests you. And so I hope you enjoy that. Have a great week ahead. Have a great Christmas if we don't talk before then. And I hope you find lots of time for knitting. Have a great week. Making tracks like Peter from the Snowy Day. Lord bless you and keep you. Getting a little braver. Are you gonna be the big excavator? What do excavators do? Dig. Dig, dig, dig. What are you doing? Making snow angel. I do see its wings. No sneaking. You can have Noah.